got this story and he wants to find something in the Old Testament to go with it. And likewise, Luke, it's not the case that he has stories about angels and shepherds which he's wanting to pin on Jesus. Rather, this is the stuff that he's got to work with.
After Jesus was born, the gospel accounts state that he grew up in the small town of Nazareth. Yet what do we know about his childhood and his relationship to his parents, Joseph and Mary?
When he was 12 years old and he went down to the temple, Luke tells us this wonderful story. He sat in the temple and he talked with the elders and the rabbis and the Pharisees, and they recognized that this child was extremely gifted, that this is the kind of kid who should be signed up to study in an academy and really learn how to do the law. But, of course, Jesus' earthly parents, Mary and Joseph, said, "No way, you're coming home with us, you're living in this little town of Nazareth, you're going to learn a trade, and you're going to help out with the family." And Jesus, in obedience, did that. He traded the classroom of the rabbinic academies for the classroom of Nazareth. And there he saw shepherds with sheep, farmers in their fields, fathers with their children. And as he watched these events of natural life, he reflected on how they expressed principles of the kingdom of God, how they reflected the nature of God as a father. And when God then sent him out as Messiah following his baptism, he was ready to talk to the everyday people in language that they understood about the character of God. They didn't speak the language of the academies. They didn't speak the language of the great halakha, or the oral tradition. They understood what it meant for a woman to lose a coin, or what it meant for a father to forgive a child who had rebelled. And they could understand and accept the love of the Father expressed through Jesus' teaching and parables.
While growing up in Nazareth, Jesus could see a city called Sepphoris, the capital of Herod Antipas, only 4 miles away. He and his father Joseph might have been hired to do carpentry work there. Jesus knew his fellow Jews were being heavily taxed by the Romans, and he could see the stark contrast between the rich and the poor. Some scholars speculate that these early experiences led Jesus to become a political revolutionary or a cynic sage.
The fact that Nazareth was next door to Sepphoris, where lots of archaeological digs have taken place recently and revealed a lot of interesting stuff, it is, a question that we need to come to grips with. How much is proximity an issue in determining who a person is? I mean, I can go to Brooklyn and find Hasidic Jews living next door to Buddhists who are from the Far East. They live in close proximity to each other. But so what? It hasn't affected their belief systems very much at all. The fact that Jesus is a carpenter from Nazareth does not imply that he is a Greco-Roman person from Sepphoris, nor does it imply that he's a revolutionary like some of those folks from Gamala. You can have different kind of persons all living together or in close proximity. The belief system is something else.
He clearly had a concern for people who are on the margins of society and have been excluded. But Rome wasn't the big enemy. The bigger enemy were spiritual forces working inside of people and through people and, if you will, behind people that cause people to take advantage of one another. And in many ways, his message tried to touch that battle and that kingdom, if you will, and the Romans were just almost a sideshow.
Scholars believe Jesus' public ministry may have been as short as 1 year and no longer than 3 or 4 years. If that's true, what did Jesus say in such a short period of time that would so drastically change the world? We will look at that next.
Coming up, we'll journey to the Jordan River, where Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. We'll also visit Qumran, the discovery site of the ancient manuscripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
There was one point where Bedouin reached down into a jar like this and unrolled and found, for the first time, you could see scrolls that are similar to the scrolls that they actually read and had in their hands.
All this and more when Jesus, The Search Continues, returns.